Welcome to Beyond the Pixel. I'm Luis Fernando Sandrin, technical designer. And with me is Ken Ha, the digital artist. How are you doing, Ken?
Pretty good. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing all right. You got words for us?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. I've been playing a lot of Valorant, and it's our first topic of the day. Valorante, as as it's pronounced. I've been playing a lot of it. I used to be a Counter-Strike player, a heavy Counter-Strike player, but that was before CS:GO days.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very excited to see something like this come out. But it has been kind of a polarizing game for some people. What do you think so far?
Well, as far as I know from Valorant, is that it is basically Counter-Strike versus Overwatch, all put together in a single game with, like, very short time to kills, but also a lot of abilities. So it's an interesting balance. I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard everyone basically expunge heaps of praise onto this game in sort of how LOL, well, not let's use actual words here, League of Legends was received.
Yeah.
So this thing's gonna be here for a while,
hot.
right? It's not going away anytime soon.
It looks like that. It looks like it. It had a very, very successful launch at with their beta. I mean, kind of timed it perfectly with all of the COVID lock-in, so people were kind of ready to play. I was one of the lucky people that got the early beta key when they were giving it out on Twitch.
Oh, nice.
So I got a chance to play it quite early from the get-go, as soon as it was made to the public. But I had my eye on it for a while. It's funny, the first time I actually heard about this game was on LinkedIn, and I wonder if it's because we work in the industry and Riot happened to be recruiting at that point.
Well, they kind of need the people to support all the games they're making. They're literally making 5 different projects, right? Holy crap. It's all that Tencent money. Tencent owns them, correct?
Tencent money has enabled them to, it looks like, aggressively attack different game genres. Clearly, this one is targeted towards the Counter-Strike crew. But
like, look at that AK-47 on the screen. Just the general design of it.
Excuse me, I think you mean the Vandal.
All right.
They're so different.
Don't they also have an op? They straight up have an op, right?
No, it's called the Operator.
Very different.
I think you're mishearing is when you first hear them say the word op, you just shut off, and then that's all you hear. But it's actually Operator. It sounds quite different. It's a completely different gun. In fact, it takes a lot longer to pull out, so it's practically a different gun.
Okay, all right. Like,
but
0.25 seconds longer, right?
Yeah.
This
gun.
is that kind of game, right? It's a game about milliseconds, correct?
It's essentially as quick as Counter-Strike is, although I would definitely say slightly slower. If you watch Counter-Strike, the time to kill is actually quite fast, and the aiming is a little bit harder in how you have to set everything up. Valorant has, I would say, a lower skill ceiling on the pure aiming side, but a bit higher skill ceiling on the teamwork side, especially with the ability usage. Even this far into the release, I do think that there's quite a bit of the meta that has not been explored yet, characters that have been quite underdeveloped. And there's only been one real big tournament in the Twitch Rivals, and I'm not even sure if that's completed yet. That might have just wrapped up. So there's not a lot of data in terms of what the pro scene will look like, but the game was really, really well received by most like FPS pros. With beta, if you were looking at the Valorant streams on Twitch, at early beta, they had a lot of people playing from the Apex Legends group, a lot of Fortnite players, a lot of Warzone players, and a lot of Counter-Strike players. And then there have been some notable switch-ups in terms of main game. I think one of the big ones was Sinatra from Overwatch announced that he was going to be going pro in Valorant, leaving the Overwatch scene.
Oh, right before Overwatch 2, right?
Right before Overwatch 2, so that's a very big leap of faith for a game that was in beta. But this game caught my eye even when it was just in the LinkedIn phase. because the video that I saw as an ad on LinkedIn showed pretty much what you saw in that trailer right now, which is a Counter-Strike game mixed with Overwatch. But the big difference being that the abilities in Overwatch have a much different function than the abilities when they're used in a Counter-Strike type of game. The example I used was, for example, a firewall or a smoke wall in Overwatch wouldn't do much since there's a lot of ability spamming, a lot of healing. But because in Counter-Strike that it takes away the ability for a op to get a one-hit shot on you, it actually means a lot, and it opens up a lot of pure utility that's not quite available in Counter-Strike. In Counter-Strike, you have essentially abilities in the form of grenades. You have your flash grenade, your Molotov grenade, your smoke grenade, and your frag grenade. And what Valorant did is, yeah, Valorant just took all those abilities away and essentially took what their function was and put them into classes. And that was enough to really spice it up. But the exact same gunplay formula from Counter-Strike is in Valorant, and it's very much a Counter-Strike type of game.
You feel any transfer of your skills from Counter-Strike can transfer pretty cleanly to Valorant?
There's a lot of crossover. The aiming feels targeted to match Counter-Strike. There's a lot of mechanics and just feel of the gun. Like you mentioned there, the Vandal is essentially the AK. They took the meta guns from Counter-Strike and they cut out all the kind of fluff guns, and that's what you see in Valorant. Yeah. So what are your thoughts
before
on
they
it
build
right
up
now?
on it?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's so hard for me because it is like one of those competitive games, right? And I can only fit so many of those in my life. And I decided a while ago, like the last Counter-Strike game I played seriously was 1.6, right? And that was like a long time ago. That was like when I was in high school still. And like what was playing seriously in high school, even me? And man, like I was playing it like 2 times a week, right? With my friends in Brazil. Like that's how we talked and communicated. But like I wasn't going on the internet looking at pro strats or anything, right? I knew my way around Office. I knew my way around Dust. I could go around this stuff. I didn't start playing Counter-Strike in that super competitive way that people are playing Counter-Strike now, right? I wouldn't know how to navigate that space. So for me, being out of that game and possibly never even in that game to begin with, moving over to Valorant is already a daunting prospect. But because so many people have been talking about it, it's this really cool thing that you can just jump in and like have a good time still because there are so many people in there. You got that variety of skill range. You have the early fighting game phase, I feel, which is when you get the hot new fighting game. I play a lot of fighting games. That's the competitive game that I enjoy the most. When you get that hot new fighting game and then you go online and you're just wrecking shop just because you spent like the solid 5 hours just getting 2 good combos down in the lab, and you go in and you're killing everybody. You come back like 2 months later and then you realize, oh no, I actually got to learn this game now. I feel like I'm at that early point where you talking about it and like people in other podcasts talking about it have gotten me over the initial disgust period that I had, which is
disgust period? Okay.
There's disgust.
I want to know a bit more.
My disgust period is like whenever I see something that's like, this is clearly targeting this audience, and they're doing it by replicating the aesthetics of it, like the positioning of the gun on the screen, the way the crosshair works. And like I was not a fan of the character design either in the game. So for me, like when I hit that with my eyes hit the screen and I saw that, I was like, nope. No, I don't want this. I played Counter-Strike. I played Overwatch. I don't need this in my life. But I am a man who is willing to admit that, like, maybe appearances may be deceiving. You know, maybe there is something unique and original about this game that looks exactly like a clone of this other game that people really like. That is stealing players from this other game. That looks like a very driven and marketing, like, focused decision more so than an artistic one. Which, you know, You're an artist. You should know about this. You
Mm-hmm.
know how form
Mm-hmm.
follows function.
I understand. I understand. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um.
gameplay is king for me, always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it's a really tight game, as everyone is saying, I'm willing to give it a try, and I wanna do it. Maybe I'll even join you if you want to drag and carry my ass
100%,
over the line.
100%, 100%. I'm dragging all my friends over the line right now.
Okay, all
But
right.
but I will say that it's not a game that's probably going to be for everyone. Even as we talk right now, a lot of the streamers that I saw try it during the early beta phase, a lot of them have gone back to whatever game they came from, whether it be Fortnite or Apex Legends or Call of Duty Warzone or Counter Strike or whatever it is. I think what they saw was maybe not what they liked after, that hot new game phase.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think that's important is that for those who are playing the game, it's hitting all the markers that like you wanted. We had a discussion a little bit about this beforehand because we couldn't help ourselves as soon as the topic was brought
You
up.
couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help it.
Let's be
I had so many
specific
things
here.
to say about it already. And you made actually a very good point. That same point about that kind of it's kind of like a ripoff. Let's say it's kind of a bit of a ripoff
It's
of
the League of
Counter-Strike,
Legends
right?
deal, right? Like you
It's
either
exactly
you either play Dota 2 or you play League of Legends because they're so similar, but the meta between them is so different and the skill ceiling is so high on both of them, you can't really flip-flop between them. Is this sort of the same thing between Valorant and Counter-Strike, you feel?
I think that maybe on a pro level it'll be that way, but on a casual level it'll be quite easy to switch back and forth. Um, and anyways, the point I was just making is that in terms of you saying that like in the nature of the fact that it's like a ripoff, and I thought about it and I thought about like why, for some reason, because you're right, I am an artist, I care about proper representation of your artistic abilities and properties. But for some reason, I really didn't care. I just really wanted to play this game. Maybe it's selfish, but what I began to think of it instead of um, kind of like the age in hockey where back in I believe it's 1907, the forward pass like wasn't allowed,
No.
and they had 7 players on the ice, right? And then
It's
you
news
get a
to me.
chance to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then someone introduces you to the current age of hockey with forward passing and the speed of it and curved sticks. And then you just seeing how giving everyone the option of picking which one they would want. I think most people would pick this option, and I think that's how I feel about Valorant is that it's kind of an update to a genre. We knew Counter-Strike wasn't really going to change. It didn't need to change. It had the top spot. But for me, I wasn't actually going to get back into Counter-Strike because, like you said, the skill ceiling was tremendously high. If you were to start Counter-Strike today, the lobbies are really difficult after you get through your initial like bronze phases.
Yeah.
Just for like a regular gamer, and not saying like, and maybe you can call me trash or something like that. But I think in general, it's quite hard. But because there's this like kind of easier newbie friendly period that Valorant has right now, and it's fresh. It's much more appealing for me to pick up a game like this that scratches that exact itch that I wanted with that wasn't being fulfilled because I wasn't playing Counter-Strike.
Do you still have to look up an encyclopedia just to understand what the hell people are talking about? I'm hearing stuff about like Heaven, Hookah, and like all these names.
Yeah. I remember like when I went to get back into Counter-Strike, when I first like just kind of peeked my eye into it, like just like you, I was just 1.6, didn't play CS:GO at all. And then the first thing I noticed was like I don't want to have to memorize a sheet of callouts. Like it's so hard to understand this game when you're watching casters and they're saying so and so is coming from vents, and you have no idea like where the vents are. You don't know what he's referring to. It does seem very daunting at first. That's why I kind of said I don't believe it's going to be a game for everyone. But I kind of like that. I like that it's a game that's specifically geared towards a competitive nature. And there's a couple other things Riot's been doing with their competitive scene that is a much more stark contrast than what we saw in Overwatch and even with TF2. In that I believe kind of feel like Blizzard had a lot of control over the competitive scene by having control of the rights.
Mm-hmm.
But Riot seems to be engaging the grassroots community scene much more and allowing the fans to run their own tournaments and working with them to set up the prize pool and the circuit scene. They said on stream quite a few times when asked about what esports their esports visions are going to be that they wanted to wait and see where the scene developed, which I think is a great idea. Every time these kind of new games come out, the scene always needs time to correct itself.
Mm-hmm.
I would reference back to StarCraft, and if you followed StarCraft one, the competitive scene from the very early days, Dane and I had a kind of video on this. There were a couple of notoriously important patches that happened right after the game was launched that allowed it to be competitive. That, in addition to the community essentially being able to make the maps,
Mm-hmm.
allowed the scene to grow and the scene to find out what kind of gameplay they really kind of valued and thought was fun to play. And I think that's what Valorant needs right now. We don't. No one. They seem quite cautious in making guesses as to how the scene's going to develop. Where they want to have, maybe it's going to be a 5-on-5, 6-on-6, whatever it is. But they seem to have a open mind in terms of what they want to how much of a hand they want to have in the esports scene,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time offering the resources to help it grow. That's kind of new. I haven't actually seen that happened a lot in different scenes, but it seems like a recipe for a lot of success.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting
And
when
I
you
think
look.
you
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think you also see it in the number of pro players that have begun to sign on a game that has just come out. It's quite surprising. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's almost like there's a lot of money being thrown around here.
Hmm.
I don't want to be that guy, but
I think it's right to be cautious. I felt the same way when the Overwatch League started to announce how much the teams were being bought for, the
mm-hmm.
licenses.
Mm-hmm.
That made me extremely cautious because whenever that much money is being thrown around, it's hard not to have a lot of influences from different places. And say what you want about the Overwatch scene right now, it's not where it was when it first came out, and what the prospects had, what kind of prospects they had back when it first got launched.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would say that that's where they're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Valorant seems to be setting itself up for success, but we'll see how well they develop their game.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it will dethrone Counter-Strike, but it does seem like there might be a bit of a shift in terms of audience, and I think there's gonna be a lot of crossover.
Is it the
As a
most
player
watched?
myself, I started watching more Counter-Strike. What's that?
Is it the most watched game on Twitch currently?
It's not right now.
Not right
It
now.
was during the beta, but that's kind of like its initial introduction, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that the exclusiveness plus the drops tied to Twitch viewership inflated the numbers beyond what we can actually say how popular it is.
Yeah.
But right now, it's usually in the top 10, depending on uh, whether they have a tournament or not.
What would you say right now is the biggest risk for Valorant? Like, what is the thing that you find that most people are complaining about, if there is anything?
So far, the complaints have been dealt with in a number of patches,
Mm.
and you can kind of see what what the company's methodology would be in how they patch their game. It's They're going to start prioritizing what they feel is important, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
because those patches, as you know, have the manpower and that you need to pour resources into, they're going to be quite cautious about which ones they pick. So I think it's going to be quite telling. And what I've seen so far is that they've been quite subtle in terms of their patch methodology. There's not a lot of hard counters, which I really like, and there have been a number of adjustments that have come directly from the competitive scene since they launched it that they've made. So it's pretty promising. There seems to be a lot of resources dedicated to fine tuning their products so that it can be ready for high level esports. So I would say it's kind of promising. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for Valorant. Sounds a good point to put in,
For
Levon.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'll get around to playing with you sometime.
For sure.
And maybe. No, you're never gonna play this game, I don't think. But we're gonna move on and talk about Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. In fact, I've played Destiny 2 before.
You have. Have you played
Briefly.
Destiny 2 or have you just played Destiny 2? Did you
I
spend an
played.
hour just punching things in the face so your quests could complete so you could progress a little bit?
Yeah, I would say that I experienced that and a little bit more, but not much more after that.
Okay, well, that is part
But
of the
the
Destiny
scene itself
experience,
is
to be
very
honest.
fascinating.
Huh?
That what I've been hearing that's happening in the scene is quite interesting and quite rare in terms of in the gaming industry. So
I think
it's
it
catching
is.
my eye a lot.
There are a few projects that happen in the industry that I always keep a close eye on because it is always fascinating to me. One of them is Call of Duty, because how do you keep making a first-person shooter that everyone seems to love and hate at the same time and still get like a pretty
play
good
it.
creative spin every single iteration you do? Like, I think as far as a franchise goes, people are going to disagree with me on this. They're wrong. But as a franchise, it is consistently the one that keeps changing itself every iteration. Particularly because they're a two-model studio. But if you look at those games, very little of them have a lot of crossover with each other, unless you look at like Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. That was the last time that you had a series that did the same thing, but better, right? Because then they switched it up with like
Incremental
Advanced
changes.
Warfare, Infinite Warfare, and like when they did Black Ops and Black Ops 2, those games were in the same franchise, but they're still fundamentally different in what they did. Like Black Ops 2 had an open campaign in whatsoever. So Call of Duty is something I'm interested in. Destiny is also another one, because in the opposite end, they don't release new games, but they're constantly changing how their one game works. And just today, they announced a big sort of inflection point that's going to be happening in fall, which is when they announced Destiny 2 Beyond Light is going to happen, which is the new fall expansion. So to catch you up,
Right. Yeah.
Destiny 2 came out 2017, I believe. That seems wrong in my head. Regardless, Destiny 2 comes out, and then it has seasons, right? And 2 expansions, Curse of Osiris and Warmind. In between those, there's like different seasons that add content to the game, but it's always been building and building and building to get to the point where you hop into Destiny when it went free to play. A lot of people hopped on. There's an overwhelming amount of content there, including the other expansions that came out, Forsaken and Shadowkeep, which add systems and like different activities you got to do specific quests. So you got to go punch Vex in the face in order to go to the menagerie back in like Destiny 2, and I only found out about that yesterday, and that was content that was in the game from 4 years ago.
Which, by the way, that's exactly when I got my taste of Destiny. That moment that you're talking about.
Yeah.
When it became free to play is when I decided to jump in and take a look. And it was exactly what you were saying. It was a bit overwhelming. It felt like it was in a wrong trailer. It was in a world that had already happened to me. You know what I mean? Like it passed already, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I'm just behind on.
Yeah. And then there's that new inflection point where you can jump in on. Even if they wanted you to go back, like they had like the new light thing where you go back literally to the beginning of Destiny 1, and then it jumps you over the events of Destiny 1, and you play the Destiny 2 campaign if you wanted to, and then you continue. They're doing something really smart and also a little controversial for a lot of people with Beyond Light. And you know, I can talk about the features that they're adding Beyond Light. They're doing some cool story stuff that, like, you're gonna be controlling the darkness as well as the light. Destiny is a story about light versus darkness and the creatures that fight for both sides, and you're trying to save humanity from the darkness using the power of light. Now in Beyond Light, you're going to be getting the powers of darkness. to sort of help you with that. They're adding a new element called stasis, which is powered by the darkness, which is what they're showing on screen. Cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Very excited about that. But the cool thing that I want to talk about is this. They are shelving content. They're taking stuff out of the game. And it's not like just the early missions. It is whole planets. There's currently 9 planets in the game. 9 destinations. Not 9 planets, because there's few have multiple ones.
Right.
They're taking out 4 planets of those 9. And that includes...
Is it just streamline?
That is multiple... It is... There are multiple things happening here. So
I hit a bomb just now.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? You had all that content, but a lot of it had steps, had grinds that you had to get into. For example, there was this really awesome special event called the Menagerie, right? And it was sort of a spin-off from the first raid that they did called Leviathan.
Right.
And you would do Leviathan, or like, and then you would get a call from like this robot that was controlled by this big bad from Leviathan, and he would give you like a chalice, and you had to grind like kills to like piece it back together, like, and then you had to go punch Vex in the face, and then you combine it. Then you had to do a bounty to like really construct this thing. Which was stuff like you had to do different sorts of daily, weekly challenges. You had to do generate orbs of light, which is my least favorite activity ever. Which just involves you using your super or shooting enemies with a specific gun, and then you generate orbs of light. It was a big grind to unlock this stuff, right? You're
making me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I know, right? And that was just because I wanted to play this really fun event. And we finally got there, and it was great. But there was this whole steps ahead of it. And at the time when it had like very little content, remember Destiny 2 came out, and everyone said, "There's no content. I just beat it. I'm done."
I do remember that comment all over.
No one has that complaint anymore. And back then there was grinds for all this stuff because there was only a little bit of content. So it had people in there and be invested in it and play it, whether you agree or not with that sort of context is relevant. It is what it is. But here's what they do. Here's what they said they're going to do. They're shelving this old content. But it's not going away forever. It's going in the vaults. You remember the Disney vault? This is the Destiny vault. And they're going to bring this content back out. And it's going to be new and improved. So what does that speak to me? That speaks to me that there's all this content. And some of it is very good. But it is blocked behind incomprehensible stuff for new players. Right? It's someone that's going to jump into Destiny in 2020. Going to be like, oh, I want to play the Menagerie. And your friend's like, okay, well, no, hold on. First, you need to do Leviathan. Okay, once you do Leviathan, you need to talk to this guy that has no quest mark on him. And he's going to give you this chalice. And then, like, you're doing a drug deal at that point, right? like at some point, you're meeting someone at the other
light.
Yeah. It's like someone on the path is like, do you want to go to the Menagerie? Do you want? I'll get you the good loot.
You want a good grind? I heard you like grinding.
Like, I'm here to collect the void orbs that I need for Menagerie. Anyway, all that stuff is going away.
It's my white unmarked starship. So what I'm seeing though is that you approve of the vault, like let's slim it down so they can fix it up. If it comes out and it is fixed. Now, do you think
it is a good solution? It is a good solution if that's what they do and they come back out. Because there is, oh my god, I'm wearing a Destiny 2 shirt right now. Like, look at this gentleman. Look at this gentleman here. Whoop.
Okay, well,
this is Lord Shaxx.
So you're saying you're a fan.
I love Destiny 2. I love Destiny 2. It's a fantastic game.
You're fond of Destiny 2.
Yeah. I have positive feelings about Destiny 2, and I would love to play more of it. I do not want to grind more in it, though. I would love to do the fun stuff in Destiny. I would love to hang out with my friends, do Menagerie, do all these events, but they need updates. And I think this is what you're going to get from them. And I think going forward, they're designing stuff in a way that's hopefully going to be smarter about like that grind and letting you do more of the things. That streamlined approach is going to funnel people more into the events that are interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to save space on your download as well. Like that was the other thing they were saying, because now it's like 115 gigabytes on PlayStation.
Yeah, it was prohibitively large even on PC too.
Yeah.
It was too large.
And the stat they said is like one of the expansions, Warmind, accounts for 5% of that space, and only 0.3% of players played it last season.
That
doesn't make much sense, right? So it's smart.
I was gonna ask you. So do you feel like it reflects a part of the change in ownership in terms of the development that's happened in the last few years?
I wonder.
Last year or two,
I wonder.
How can it not? That seems like
Yeah.
quite a large deal in a studio to have that kind of shift in power.
But it also seems like it's all building off what their original plan was, right? And they just encountered roadblocks along the way, and now they're course correcting. For example, they always said they wanted Destiny 2 to be a big MMO world. They still call it an MMO shooter. Whether you agree or disagree with that is beyond the point. That is definitely their objective. And the problem with making a big world is that you bloat it, right? And then you want people to keep coming into it and playing new stuff.
Yeah.
I have this problem with Final Fantasy 14. I've been trying so hard to get to Shadowbringers in Final Fantasy 14, but I cannot justify spending $15 on it when I'm playing 30 different games like that month, right?
So
that's a personal problem.
You hit a point. I was gonna ask you, did you play a lot of MMOs in general? Did you play WoW? Did you play, besides Destiny 2?
I played Guild Wars 2, and I would say briefly, I don't think I got to the point where I could say like I fully understood the end game of that game. I started playing ESO, but I bounced off that pretty hard. Same with Star Wars: Old Republic.
Right.
Final Fantasy 14 was the first one that I hit that I was like, yes, this is the one that I want to be in. I want to be a part of. But there was too much stuff. I played it so hard. I have maybe 100 hours in that game, and I just finished in the last free campaign they had. Just finished the main campaign. I have to finish Heaven's Word. I have to finish Stormblood. And I have to finish Shadowbringers to get caught up. That is maybe about 1,000 hours of gameplay.
Are those expansions?
Yep. And I own them. I own this, and
you bought them already.
I bought them, and I haven't seen this content.
Yep.
I have bought three different editions of Final Fantasy 14, saying, this is when I'm gonna get into it. But I play it so hard, and then I still didn't get past the main campaign. Destiny 2 doesn't have this problem because you can jump in and play anything, but you lose context.
Right. It's out of order.
And I don't think that really is important anymore to the Destiny 2 story. Is you have to accept that you're going to hear about legend. You know when you jump into a fantasy game and like people say like, oh, I remember in the Firestorm season when the great warriors joined into battle and fought for our freedom. This is what Destiny 2 should be, right? It is like you hear about what happened before, like you hear about the Vault of Glass. Me and my clan, I went and we did the Vault of Glass for the first time and had the jumping puzzles and amazing. I haven't played Vault of Glass. I've heard about Vault of Glass, and I want to play Vault of Glass.
Behind content.
Well, it's in Destiny 1. I could go back and play that, but no one in there is available. No one wants to jump back to do that. But because they're vaulting content away, they also said they're bringing back Vaults of Glass in in year 4. That is going to be content they're updating and bringing it to you. So you hear about these legends, about these great raids, stuff with like the Taken King, right? Which was one of the most biggest expansions to like drop like ever. I've never seen an expansion change a game around so much. Like the talk around the game so much as Taken King did.
Was that the most recent one?
No, that was Destiny 1's big change. Like when people were complaining a lot about Destiny 1, they dropped Taken King, everyone flipped over and Destiny 1 became what it was pretty much. Right. You can't really play much of that content now because there's no player base.
Yeah, but I do remember that sentiment when Destiny 2 came out, was that there was a big question about what would happen to all the great content that they just got from Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm. And this is what's
So-
going to happen. It's in the Destiny vault. They're going to bring it out for events. People that have heard about these legends can go then and play that. It's not dumped on them. It creates opportunity to embrace like this history and culture of a game that has lasted for 7 years. And for good reason. It is tremendous. It is one of the best shooters I have ever played. It is bloated. It is hard to know what's good. And even if you know what's good, it's hard to get to it.
Right.
This is the logical conclusion that they came to, I think. And if they handle it correctly, this should be the model for other big games to go forward, I think.
That's kind of been my problem with MMOs ever since I stopped playing MMOs. And the last one I played was World of Warcraft. And it's exactly what you're talking about. The grind is too prohibitive. And that was the same reason I didn't get into Destiny. Like I started it, and like you mentioned, like I was saying, I played it a little bit with a friend who wanted to start at the same time. But as soon as I saw, like I looked a little, you peer behind the curtains about how to play the game well or what you need to do next, etc.
To get
And
a
what I
Raiders of
saw
Lost
was,
Ark moment.
yeah, exactly. Like, okay, let me shine the light and let's see where this ray of sunshine goes. And that ray of sunshine went like miles away, and because I just saw the amount of time that I would need to put into this game, and it was the same problem as to why I don't get into any MMOs nowadays. Is that I'm not a fan of the time being such an important commodity in these kind of games. Just like waiting or putting the grind in to learn certain mechanics. So it does sound like it's a great move for Destiny to kind of shorten it and then at least bring it back and make it somewhat accessible. Are you familiar with a game called Path of Exile?
Yes.
Quite popular.
Yeah, it's
I jumped in everyone.
Diablo-like action RPG.
Diablo 2 kind of spiritual successor. I believe they had some of the original developers working on it down there in New Zealand. Yep. And then so my thoughts on that. So I jump back every, let's say, 3 or 4 seasons that they have, and I play for about a season to get my Path of Exile fix. And recently, what I've noticed is that the game is exactly what you mentioned with Destiny. It's become extremely bloated for me. There's still a lot of depth, and I don't want to insult people who still play the game because it's still a very addictive game. But it's getting almost monstrously hard to understand all the mechanics of all the different leagues that they've decided to compound season after season. So if you haven't played Path of Exile for a while, every season they have a specific mechanic, and going forward in the following seasons, they would often keep that mechanic in rotation and playable, using different mechanics such as when you play a map, you put a certain gem in, and it'll have the mechanic in this map, for example. So the problem with that is that it adds to the new meta every season then, because you have the previous year's meta compounded with the new season's meta, which is usually heavily favored in terms of the items you get, so you tend to do more than the current season's mechanics. But the old league is still there, so when you're trying to understand what your character can do, you have to look through 6 different seasons of extremely different content and know how to work them and how to manipulate them, and then keep track of what abilities do what. It was just way too complicated. So I just wanted to use that as an example for me in terms of I love the idea of a simpler game that's a lot more accessible and easier to get to the core fun of it, like you're saying. And
it's key in making a live game, right? Like if you're gonna make a live game, it's important that you make the content in such a way that as a new player jumping in at any time, you know what is going to be fun and interesting, and you don't feel left behind, right? Like there is going to be stuff that you're going to miss out on Destiny 2 when they remove some of this stuff, but like a lot of it you can pick up just by chatting to people. That feels like a live game, right? Like think about how many events you go to in real life. Like if I went to a concert, right? Well, that's a bad example because you went to the same concert, the the Dragon Force concert.
It's a great
but say
concert.
you didn't, right? And I told you like,
Yes,
oh,
I did.
this Dragon Force concert, blah blah blah, and then you say like, yo, tell me about the Dragon Force concert, and I pull up my phone and I'm like, here, this is what it was like. This is the fun I had. This is sort of the experience you should have with like a live game, right? And it's not so much like building like fear of missing out, right? It's more like everything has its time and a place, and you will get this chance to play this content again. The band will be back in town. It's not going to be the same experience. They're going to be older, but they might even play better. They might play newer songs that no one has ever heard of, and you can have this new experience with like an old person, an old fan, not an old person, an old fan. Will come back and like he will enjoy this concert even if they're playing the same songs, right? It's songs that you liked, and they might be playing them a little bit better. That's what a live game should be. It shouldn't be this big library. You shouldn't feel like you're going to a museum and seeing like, remember when we ran Vaults of Glass? Remember how challenging it was?
Yeah.
It is a breeze now. We know so much better. Ha ha.
If you talk to World of Warcraft players, that's exactly how they sound. You talk about like, oh, do you remember this patch? And do you remember this patch? Oh, they ruined things in this patch and blah, blah, blah. Like that's how they mark time periods in their lives. Instead of like teenage adulthood, it's like, okay.
But now you can go back and play that stuff, right? You can go back and play that stuff, but you one-shot everything. You're doing raids that require 20 people. You're going up to the boss and you're kicking him in the shins, and he goes like, "Woe is me, I am vanquished." And that's not fun. You could go the route that WoW did and just say like, we're gonna do WoW Classic. It's everything that you wanted, the exact same way you remember it. You can suffer the same amount you suffered back then, or you can do what Destiny 2 is doing and put it away for a while, work on it when there's the passion for it, right?
Right.
Take the content people really liked, work on it. I'm sure like after September, Menagerie is going away, but I had so much fun playing it. I imagine that's going to come back in some sort of reworked form, because there's so many systems involved in it, like the chalices. You have this item that you can get slot into it, and that dictates what like bonuses you'll get or different challenges that'll appear inside this randomized dungeon, which is the Menagerie. I imagine it's such a dense system with many possibilities. I imagine that's something you're going to go through, look at, and then put back in the game, and it's going to be better than it was before.
Well, for me, the most promising thing was to see the studio seem to take more of direct control. It did seem like Destiny suffered a bit from two directions syndrome when you're getting. It seemed like it had it wanted to be two things at the same time. So obviously, what happened was, I believe Bungie, right? You said is the one that now has full control over
Bungie.
the development. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
It's okay. No, it's fine. There's a lot of studios.
Yeah. Anyways, now that they have full control, I think that's just a much more conducive environment to developing a good game. And every time I look at a good, quote unquote, good or impressive game that's come out in the last little while, I've always started to look at the studios, and I find that the studios are a better tell for quality than their trailer or whatever marketing pitch that they're saying. So this is something that I would say that is more promising to me as an outsider in terms of someone that would want to get back or get into Destiny in the first place.
How does that make you feel about Valorant then?
You know, I think it makes me think that it's going to be around for a while. That's what I think. I think it's essentially set up the same dynamic that's in Dota and League of Legends right now, where there's two competitors and they'll be hardcore fanatic for either one, and they'll probably hate each other. But for me, I don't really care what game you play. I'm sure I'll play a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Cool.
that's my hot Destiny minute. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
They announced the next expansions up to like 2022. Right. You know.
Okay. So what's got you excited?
I'm not gonna go into that. This is just like a little send off. They announced 2020 is Beyond Light. 2021, their next expansion is gonna be the Witch Queen. A little bit of nod to the Taken King. Gonna be fighting Savathun, it looks like. that doesn't mean anything to you. But and then 2022 is going to be Destiny 2 Lightfall. They announced 3 years of expansions, but they're still calling this game Destiny 2. Just call it Destiny. Just call it Destiny. Please.
That'll be their superhero moment when they finally rip off the facade that they've been carrying.
Yeah.
It's like,
so what's after in 2023? Are you going to be Destiny 3? It doesn't sound like it. You probably shouldn't.
we called the game formerly known as Destiny 2.
Yeah.
That's probably
Destiny, the game. Anyway, moving on. I'm excited about this one because I have no idea what you're going to talk about.
It's my topic, right?
It's your topic,
right?
Should I just run the trailer?
Okay. Yeah, I'd start running the trailer, and then I'm super excited. So
I have no idea why, but I'm looking forward to it.
So there's this like hot game that came out 1,500 years ago, everyone, and it went through a few iterations. You know, a little bit of a beta that took a few hundred years. And for a long time, it was a bit quiet. And then now, if you've been watching Twitch, you'll know what I'm talking about. Talking about Chess Royale, Modern Chess Fair. Have anyone heard about this game?
Chess Royale. These are words that you said out loud. Chess Royale. What the hell is Chess Royale?
Hopefully. You have a bunch of players that hot drop over a chessboard. And then when they encounter each other, they have to play each other in chess, and whoever wins survives. No, I'm just talking about the resurgence of chess recently. And obviously this has had a lot to do with Twitch. So have you? Let's first off, what's your experience?
Have I heard of chess? Yes, I've heard of chess.
Have you heard of this game, chess? Not checkers, chess. Did you play at all? Do you play at all?
I played. Ken, I was part of the chess club in high school. I played speed chess. I would like grab the chess piece and like click it on the clicker and then do my move when I was like feeling like really saucy.
It feels like you played like street chess, like for money and for keeps.
Oh yeah, we were under bridges, yo.
In cars.
Like whoever lost got egged.
Your own pieces.
It was bad.
So okay, I'm gonna have to scratch like half the things I was gonna say because now you're gonna probably check me, pun intended.
I'm gonna fact checkmate you.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a noob. I think I was trying to count in my head earlier today how many games of chess I've played in my lifetime, and it's probably under 50.
Really?
And it's not because I disliked the game. I actually found it quite interesting, but I never had anyone to teach me. And every time I would look into how to get good at chess, it was exactly like Destiny. It was too daunting. Too much. There was no one to teach me, and chess is such a mental game.
There's too much bloat in chess, and like once they started adding like the multiple pieces,
They needed a patch. As soon as they add smokes in chess, I'm in.
We'll talk about this afterwards. I have ideas.
I loved it.
But yeah, tell me about this Twitch thing.
So the resurgence has been caused by a number of players that have. It's probably started with XQC. He was the first one that started to play on stream that had the biggest following, and then at the same time, this grandmaster named Hikaru began to. Well, he'd been streaming for a while, but then his stream had really been blowing up, and then they happened to talk, and they had a crossover session where Hikaru began to teach XQC, and then I'm not exactly sure how it was all set up, but now that's running right now. Hikaru and a number of other prominent chess announcers have pretty much almost every big name streamer that you can think of playing in a large chess tournament called Pog Champs.
Wow.
Their viewership was incredible. It was at something like 50K earlier today at the low mark, jumping up to like 60 or 65. So it's gotten me fascinated because I think the world is just ripe for chess right now. It just seems to be like a culmination of all these perfect things One being that chess is a extremely world-known game. So I've been talking to my friends who know nothing about Twitch and are kind of excommunicated in terms of the social media life. But they've been watching chess on Twitch because
Get
someone
out.
told them, and then they were interested. And then I think there's a lot of interest, kind of like lurker interest that like I had in chess. But it's interesting to now see all these big personalities on Twitch begin to learn chess, because then you can't help but compare yourself to how well you would do, and it makes you want to play chess. And it's fueled by a bunch of great personalities, and it seems that everyone in chess, in terms of the pro scene, has the patience of a monk, because you should watch some of these streams. They're like the best teachers I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
They're so patient, and they're so thoughtful in terms of the learning mindset that everyone needs to go through when you learn more about chess.
Mhm.
Anyways, I have been fascinated. I've been consuming more chess content than Valorant content in the
Whoa.
last few days.
Whoa.
Way more chess content. Every time Hikaru is streaming, I'm on there. Every time I'm not sure what the exact Twitch handle is. I think it's just Twitch slash TV slash chess. Every time they're showing their tournament, I'm on it. I've even begun to like look up YouTube videos. I haven't played a single game of chess again,
Well,
though.
this is the Twitch problem. You keep watching games, you just don't play games.
I am gonna sign up. I would love to get schooled by you. But what's your thoughts, Ed? Did you know about this kind of resurgence in chess?
Well, you know me,
That's kind of interesting.
I'm the writer who doesn't read books but writes a lot of books. I make a lot of stuff on Twitch, but I don't watch a lot of Twitch, and I'm not very into the community. I don't know what goes on. Sorry, not into is a bad explanation. I'm not involved in it too much. I don't know the goings on. I don't have my finger on the pulse, as the kids would say. I get that mostly from
make
you.
the sausage, but you don't really want to eat the sausage.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I rather play games.
I understand.
I just can't find the time
to
to digest the content. There's a lot of really cool things people are doing that I want to be a part of, but it's time priorities, right?
Yeah.
If I have the free
sure.
time, there's stuff that I want to get through so I can talk about them, right?
Yeah,
like if I had to choose like watch someone play Destiny 2 or like go into it and like find stuff out for my own and then talk to my clan about the stuff that I missed, I'm gonna do that.
Well, funny you say that, because one of the reasons I loved watching chess is that it's great kind of to have in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So as a simpleton like myself, I don't know what's going on most of the time. I'm looking at the board.
I'm sure
Like,
I would be the same way. I'm sure I would be the same way. Even though I've played so much chess in my freaking life, I'm sure looking at someone play it at extremely pro level is gonna go so far beyond what I'm capable of doing. I can play.
Okay, wait. When you make moves, do you say them by their letter and you know that number E4, whatever it is?
I could. I don't want to though.
E4, blah, blah, blah. Right. So you know when you do that, someone does that on stream. I have to mentally. I look to the top of the screen where the numbers are, and then I look to the side where the side where those numbers are, and then the top where the letters are, because I have to coordinate it every time. I don't know any of these things by heart.
Gotcha. I don't either.
That's all to say. It's very easy for me to jump in and out to watch it. And then the little tidbits I do pick up are fascinating to me. The fact that it's like it's an old, like obviously it's a 100-year-old game, but
it's older than me.
It's older than you for sure. But you know, on the surface, it's quite a simple game. But there's obviously a world of depth, and the fact that you're playing another person adds a infinite level of complexity, right? So it's so fascinating to, like, you know, when we have play of the game, people type pog champs, right? Like, to play chess when they have moves that sound so old, like the Anastasia something. I don't know.
The old Russian Anastasia.
Yes. You know, that's what it seems like. All the moves in chess are called. They're named after like old Russian aristocrats or something. But then going forward now, they're going to be called PogChamp. Yeah, that's the PogChamp gambit. That's the XQC, Gavin. I know that.
He won the Twitch 2020 chess
Campaign. That is such a weird like thing to just think about now. That like,
right?
I'm not sure.
But I think.
Wait,
Sorry,
man, just that it. There is a lot. There's a lot to unpack here when you think about the social implementations of how Twitch took a game that has always been around, and only now it has been going popular because certain people have jumped onto it.
Mm-hmm.
But the game has never changed. So
never changed.
There is stuff to unpack there about you know how much power people have over culture. People that are just millionaires streaming content have over the evolution. Because imagine this starts a cultural revolution of this game that has always happened, and now it becomes a mainstay in like, are people in like high school now stop playing Fortnite to play chess? Because look how significant that would be, right? That is like a minor cultural revolution if you get kids now joining chess club because they don't want to play the stupid Fortnite. They wanna move knights. they wanna castle kings.
That's exactly. I think that's exactly what's kind of happening too. We'll see how strong the legs are on this movement if people continue to play chess after this kind of initial hype died down. But personally, I love watching it. Like the content is great, and
it has never been bad. Chess has always been good.
Well, the thing is, for me, watching any competitive sport, a big part of it has always been the commentation or the commentary as well. Like I personally play a lot of tennis, and I like watching tennis. But I'll be the first to admit the commentating in tennis is one of my personal least favorite. It's, in my opinion, dull and a bit, I guess, stuck in an older time of broadcasting. That's
the one where they're just like love 40,
yeah,
up by 3, up to match point, and that will be the win. Do you want it to be like, oh my god, I can't believe it, they're rallying so fast, can he get it, he gets the top spin, it is going out. I spat on my pop filter.
That's maybe like a 6
you want a half step
there,
down,
you know? Yeah, like maybe 60% of that. That's kind of well, what I don't want it to be obviously fake hype. But
you hate fake hype, as I know very well.
Oh, I hate fake hype. If you're trying to pretend that you're excited for something and you're not, it's not. It comes off, I think. Yeah. Anyways, what I really enjoyed about chess is that the people who have been commentating, they really focus in on the strategy while at the same time adding a bit of personality. So it's been really, really fun to watch, and it's really interesting to hear the breakdown of these grandmasters, these people who are just renowned for being really, really good. And it's very rare to have commentators that are better than the players that they're commentating.
Oh,
if you think about that, right? It's
every time I play a fighting game.
Well, think about traditional sports. There's just recently basketball, for example, has been bringing like retired players as commentators, or at least post match commentary. But you don't see that in all areas. Like you don't see ex-players being the commentators in hockey very often.
It's very common in Formula 1, for example.
Very fun, and it's in certain places, right? And you see, and I think that the places where it does happen is where you get the best commentary, because it's hard for me to listen to. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to me to listen to Joe Schmo say critique a top player or a top racer or something like that when he hasn't been on the track, right? Yeah. Whereas when you're listening to Hikaru roll his eyes over a certain move, like you know that he's able to add a legitimacy and an explanation to the analysis that's very rare to see in other sports. So I think that's quite like really, really fascinating, at least on my end. And plus, if you are a fan of any of these other streamers, which you might be one of hundreds of thousands who are, It's a great way to just get into it and follow them. And the game is so simple that anyone can really pick up the basic rules of it, and then they're just kind of it's like that gateway drug to deeper levels of chess,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what got you in? Did you always like chess, or did someone push you
I
into
always
that?
like strategy games, and this is the part about chess that like I always like to point out. Chess is the granddaddy of the turn-based strategy game. All your fire
The original,
emblems,
the OG.
your fire emblems, your Into the Breaches, your XComs. This is chess, baby. This is chess. Now here's what I want to know, right? And like I always like those strategy games, the one that you take your turn, and like Into the Breach is a good example because everyone gets this wrong about Into the Breach. Into the Breach is a game where you know everything that your enemy is going to do on the same turn, and people think of it's like it is less of a strategy game, more of a puzzle game, which is like, yeah, you're more or less there, right? Because you know everything the enemy is going to do, so you have to figure out how can I get myself out of the situation. Top level Into the Breach play is not what the enemy is going to do this turn, which you know, it's what they're going to do after.
Right. Reading the line, as they
Exactly.
would say. Ooh.
That's chess.
Did you like that terminology?
I picked up what you put down. That's chess. That's the
chess,
same rationale. It's like you have all the information in front of you. You know what everyone's capable of. Into the Breach, you have the knowledge of like what your enemies exactly are going to do that turn. So it's like if someone in chess, like you saw, like, oh, they're going to move their rook in the next thing, but they could also move all their pieces at the same time. Into the Breach is cool. But it's thinking like, okay, well, if they do here, if I allow them to do this, what are they going to want to do next time? That's chess.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a fun thing to think about. That Frozen Synapse changed that a little bit as well. Frozen Synapse is a game that you take your turns at the same time. So it forces you to think where your enemy is going to be at the same time. It just removes that step of like the puzzle of the now, and it only includes the thinking moves ahead portion of it. Yeah. So that's interesting. And all of these, to me, is chess 2.0, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I want.
I see what you're saying.
Here's what I want. I want chess 2.0. I want real chess 2.0. That's what I'm curious as like a designer what that looks like. Is like what if you took all those pieces, right? You take the bishop, the rook, the knight, and like they have their abilities, right? They have their movement and their stuff like that. But what do you do to create a game that's like you're never going to recreate chess, right? Whatever. This is going to be a separate thing with separate logical process. But I'm interested in how it would change. And this is something that like every old fan of chess is going to like hate me on this. But like, what if you created chess 2.0 and now suddenly you patch the knight, and if he jumps over a unit, that unit is now hobbled and he can only move one space in his own unit.
You're talking about the Valorant of chess.
I'm talking about the Valorant of chess.
You know exactly how I would feel. I feel right now when I play Valorant. It's a very funny analogy.
That is so true. I was not expecting that, but you're absolutely right. That is exactly it. I'm thinking like, what if you put a bishop next to a unit, right? And you did not take them out, but after like 2 turns, you would get that piece.
Right.
That's not unheard of in chess either, right? That's not unheard of in chess. You take the pawn to the other side of the ring, that pawn becomes a queen. They already have abilities. These units already have abilities. Yeah. What I am suggesting is chess 2.0.
Chess 2.0. Well, I find
that's a fun design problem.
Chess is like the building block of games. You know, like Tetris is another building block of games, in my opinion.
Puzzle games,
these early games that were just focused on one single puzzle problem. I would even argue Mario is a part of this building block game genre. And it's interesting to see how when you mix different, like I think that's what the most modern games are, and that's why I was not really offended by Valorant, is that most of my favorite games are these mingling of multiple genres. Like you grew up in a very similar age of gaming as I have, and you'll remember early gaming. There was your RPG gaming, like you just mentioned, Final Fantasy, etc., etc., and then there was like every other game, right? There was the other genres, and no one really brought RPG mechanics into an action game or a fighting game. No one. There was very few that brought
Legend of
like
Mana.
legitimate leveling up, right? Legend of Mana. That's what made those games so great.
Secret of Mana.
Those were the games that melded those exact genres, right?
Legend of Dragoon
so that-
added active abilities to your combat. Do you remember Legend of Dragoon? Did you play Legend of Dragoon? Oh man, I love Legend of Dragoon.
My sauce.
Ah!
This is like,
I'm so happy I
like
found someone
finding
that
out
actually
we
likes Legend of
have-
Dragoon.
it's like we have a relative that we both didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Legend of Dragoon was a sleeper that I loved so much, and I love the combat system.
The
so
additions,
much.
right?
The additions.
The fact you could transfer into Dragoon and then he had like a turn cooldown, but it wasn't
I
as
was a big fan
limiting
of
as
Power
like limit
Rangers,
breaks.
So I was like, I'm down for this.
It was so good, so good. Oh,
Oh yeah, and it was like a spiritual successor to Mario RPG, in my opinion, which first kind of introduced that
was
timing
Mario RPG
type of
before?
mechanic. Mario RPG was
It
Super
should have.
Nintendo.
Yeah, it was on the Super. I was thinking Paper
Yeah.
Mario.
Paper Mario is probably the actual spiritual successor of Mario RPG since after the Nintendo SquareSoft split.
Yep.
That franchise was pretty much dead, which is sad because that might be my favorite Super Mario property of all time is Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're talking about chess. And Mario RPG, you can see chess in Mario RPG. You can see it. It's exactly what you're talking about. This kind of basic, simple gameplay. I think that's why everyone's able to jump into chess so much and so easily right now. Because it's an easy game for everyone to kind of understand. Even if you don't know the high level stuff, you can pick up on at least what's going on. You're speaking the same language as someone else.
And you can learn as well, right?
I'm
Here's the
very
thing.
excited.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like until Twitch got on it, chess was never considered sexy.
Oh wait,
you know?
no. Are you kidding me? No.
Like that's the thing. That's the thing. Everyone like shoehorn in the thing. Like chess isn't chess isn't sexy. Here's what sexy is like. It's Fire Emblem. It's StarCraft. It does all this and your flashy explosions and your bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing.
Well, if you look at who's playing chess right now, it's some very attractive people on Twitch. Some very hot, you would even say, people on Twitch. So that's a very interesting change for this.
The game didn't change. The
It'll be
people
interesting to
playing the
say.
game changed. Right.
Yeah,
And the environment.
the environment is
It's your tennis
so
problem.
foreign. So this is one point I actually wanted to bring up, and it's becoming a bit of a topic now that chess is kind of blown up. Have you heard of the phrase chess elitism?
No, but I can figure what it means.
So you can figure what it means. There's been a number of comments by who knows where. You can probably Google it if you want to look up this controversy yourself. But people have been talking about how these newbies that are joining in because of Twitch and what's been happening with PogChamps, that they're somehow ruining the game or diluting the pool and that they're not real chess players. Mostly regarded as nonsense, but it seems, I wonder if it's an actual sentiment within the chess community or if it's just a bunch of certain loud folks.
If you care about the game that you're playing, you should just be happy that more people are playing it. That is garbage nonsense.
Can you imagine if you were a professional sports player, say you're a soccer player,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a massive influx of kids playing soccer, and you're like, these kids who just started playing soccer, they don't know the game. They're ruining the game, okay? These idiots are screaming PogChamp after they score each goal. They're ruining the game. No, that's silly. Have it
Silly.
The grassroots, everyone playing is what pushes any true sport forward because there's more people playing.
Chess
and there's
2.0,
more
baby,
for
let's
us
do it.
Chess 2.0. Trademark it. Get it in.
No, but you're absolutely right, and I get so upset because I hear about that all the time. There's I don't like that sort of sentiment where one thing has to be for a certain subset of people and it cannot be for anyone else. You know? If you're I lost your audio.
Sorry, hello?
Okay, yeah, you're here.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I thought it was on my end.
Okay, we're okay. Okay, just a second. We're back. Anyway, sorry, you're saying.
there's, what was I saying? Right, that something had to be for something. If you find like a certain environment so precious for your game, you can still have that. No one's taking that away from you. If you want to play chess in a library with like your old buddies and like just have a quiet little experience and not scream PogChamps or whatever, you can still have that. No one is taking that away from you. But like I lost you again. Oh no, you're just being quiet.
No, I'm just being quiet.
Okay, all right.
So, sorry, sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say, I think it's less of a actual chess elitism problem, and probably we might be able to find more common ground in the fact that if you look at any game that becomes popular again for whatever reason, there's always some sort of outcry in terms of the player base.
I was into chess before you.
Yeah, exactly. Like these new
hipster
people, whatever it is, they aren't true Destiny fans, whatever. I wonder if it's just for every major change in player base, when people are just starting to kind of get into something, there's going to be a tendency for someone to fight back just because it's the popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's really the case, because like you said, there's only really good things that can happen from the resurgence of people playing chess.
Thinking about it now, I almost wonder if it's something like, say you were playing like an old game, right? And then you had a small community and you were all playing that game. And you had this community that was now watching you this whole time, right? But it was small and it was growing. And then suddenly, Mr. Big Shot Moneybanks, because
it's got dollar bills.
Yeah. Starts playing it over here, and then now everyone's flocking over there, and then your community starts leaving as well to go watch them because they're louder, they're flashier, and they got more money than you. So maybe then that starts where the envy and jealousy comes from, right? Like if it's sort of cannibalizing whatever audience you had before.
Yeah,
but like
especially in a smaller community where you're really. Maybe you really enjoy the small community feel, and when things blow up, you do lose that a lot. If you ever played a dying game where it's just you and like 30 other people that are still in the multiplayer servers, Jedi Knight 2, like you know what it's like. You know everyone who still plays because no one else. I play. That's my. It's not quite a dead game, but a lot of people would say Smash Brothers Melee is a bit of a dead game. You have to have like a CRT.
It's undead. It's undead. Okay.
It's definitely not dead, but it
should have been. It should have been put in the ground, but you guys still keep playing it.
Listen, when I tell anyone that doesn't play games about Melee, they look at me like I'm a Unabomber. They think about me. They're like, "What do you do? Why do you still have that TV?" It's like it's so heavy.
You keep this monster thing that's probably gonna like leak nuclear fumes like in 2 years.
Is that a GameCube controller? How old is that game? Do they still make those?
I resent the fact, by the way, that I was in an EB Games not like 6 months ago. Remember stores? Remember when you could walk into stores?
And we're walking in stores.
And like I was just there minding my own business, looking at like, oh, what did I miss? What's going on here? And then these kids come up and they're having this conversation like, hey, yeah, man, I'm like really into retro games like Gears of War and Halo. And I'm like, you shut up right now. If the words out of your mouth are not Mario and Sonic after that, we're going to have words.
This is like angry grandpa gamer talking.
We just made a Gears game. What are you talking about? It's not a retro.
It just came out this year. That's funny. Yeah, so that's all I have for chess. It's gonna be really interesting to see how it develops. I'm gonna start playing. Actually, I have a couple of friends that are also interested in starting, and we're just gonna try to soak up as much free tutorial lessons that we can get from Twitch right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're gonna start doing a male chess.
Male chess.
Do you know what male chess is?
What's male chess?
So male chess was something that I did briefly in high school.
To make money? Is this
no?
Where's this story going
male
right now?
MAIL. Okay, there's an I there. It's not LE.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's some services that offer this, and you make a move, right, on your chessboard. And then it sends an email to your opponent. And they click that link and they see your move. And then they make you their move. So you can have like 5 games going at the same time, right? You have 5 games at the same time, and you're each like opening it up and looking at your moves and saying like, okay, that's interesting what you did there. Well, here, how about this? I'm gonna do this. Boom.
Are you playing all this in your head? Like, there's no board that you set up?
No. The board's in the email.
Oh, so is it?
Yeah. You like some of them are different. There was ones where like you would type your move in. And then, like, later on, they had ones that were actually graphic. Like, it would link you to the site, and then it would open up your session. You would make your move, close the session, and then it would send that move off.
So that reminds me of there's a documentary on Netflix on Carl Magnuson. Are you familiar with this personality in chess?
Carl,
the number 1 player right now.
Oh wait, wait. Carl with the K, right?
I don't want to say. I feel like no, but
okay, then I don't.
I'm gonna put it out there that I know exactly.
I don't think
Magnus Carlsen. What am I doing? Oh my God.
Magnus Carlsen.
Magnus Carlsen. Great, now it's out there. Anyways, there's a documentary on him. I highly recommend it. It was my first introduction into like kind of my first recent introduction back into chess before all this Twitch stuff happened. Kind of preambled my interest in it right now. I would recommend it.
What's it called again?
You might just want to search
Magnus Carlsen documentary Netflix
on Netflix, okay. And then that'll take you to whatever one it is because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Gotcha. I'm interested in seeing like what me, like having not played chess in like 4 years other than like a random game or so. Versus you with all your Twitch knowledge.
Incoming Valorant Pro.
Yeah. I want to see if some part of me still has like my gut instincts about all this.
How bad? So, do you remember being rated at all? Do you know like that rating system they have it? They have like out of I don't know what it's out of, but some really good players are 2,500. I think masters are like over 3,000 or something.
Nope.
There's a ranking system.
Oh,
now.
rating.
If you go in chess.
Nope.
Yeah, rating.
Nope.
Yeah. If you play chess.com, it'll give you a ranking.
Nice.
Like it's your MMR in chess.
Nice.
It's your chess MMR.
Nice. Right. I'm sure it's going to be very skewed now. Like, here's the thing: the democratization and like interest in chess is probably going to make a lot more better chess players than I probably ever was.
Probably.
Because I was pretty good at chess. I was pretty good at chess in my school, right? I never went to tournament or stuff because it was such a small community. I played with maybe the same 4 or 5 people. My dad's the one who taught me. I eventually could beat him pretty consistently.
Do you have the same opening, or like do you like to mix it up?
God, dude, I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore.
You don't know?
Like I need to get a board. I need to get a board in front of me and like think about it.
I need to play you before you get refreshed, and then that will be fair.
And that'll be fair. I probably don't know, dude. Probably no.
Would you be upset if I beat you?
No, not at all.
I'm definitely not gonna beat you.
I think 100% like you're very likely to beat me. Like I said, my interest waned. I'm playing chess 4.0 now. I'm playing Fire.
You're playing.
I'm playing Fire. I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses. That's my tackle strategy game right now.
Skills transfer over back to the OG chess.
It's a thought process, right? Right. What never leaves you in chess is what helps you in every single other tactical strategy game is like, what am I gonna do this move that's gonna set me up for the next 3 moves? That's the core basic of most tactical strategy games, right? It's like if I do this, it's gonna enable me to do this and that.
When you were playing a lot back in the day, did you visualize the board differently? Like, were you able to visualize plays?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess, like visualizing the lines.
What was common for us to teach us is like when you make a move, think about what your opponent's possibilities are and imagine like different configurations of what the board could look like in the future. And if you can imagine that and like not be caught unawares, that's already a good spot to be in.
Blundering.
Blundering.
Blundering. Can I tell you a little story? So
go ahead.
I first heard the terminology on Twitch, and I heard everyone say the word blundering, and I was like, blundering? What? Wait, what? Does that mean that he moved his pieces in a Blender like? And he's like, oh well, he just blendered. And I was like, what? And I googled it like chess blendering, and just no help videos would come up. I'm like, what the hell did they mean by blendering? What is that? What is that? Obviously, eventually, got it. Blendering makes perfect sense now.
Did you get just a bunch of first year like Blender projects where they model the chessboard?
I got that like will it blend video or something.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I would love to play you. That would be very interesting to take a look, and we'll see if this craze keeps going.
Okay, $1 million questions. What would you rather play with me right now? Valorant or chess?
I would be more interested in chess because it would be more competitive. Because if we played Valorant,
That's a very polite way of saying you're going to stop me in
not...
Valorant.
Also, Valorant is a team game. That's another thing that I like didn't talk too much about, but that the teamwork involved is one of the funnest parts. Is that when I have 4 of my homies and we're strategizing and we make up these plays like football and they pull off exactly how we want it to them, it's super satisfying. Whereas chess, a one-on-one game,
mano a mano, mind against
it's
mind.
Mano a mano, you know, mind trick stuff. I think it's
a fighting
game. It would
game.
be much more interesting for us to play. Plus, I've never tested myself, so I'd be very interested to just learn again and lose a bunch of matches. Like when they do, I'm watching Hikaru like do puzzles. Like, you know what puzzles are? Like they just like quick like.
Oh yeah, the ones where they set up the board in a
way.
way and then you have to solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just firing off like bam, 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 and I have to pause it, and I'm like, wait.
Why would you think to do this? Why was this efficient? What's going on here? Did you get Chess Ultra? I got Chess Ultra in a humble bundle. Right? That was the trailer.
Yeah, that was the yeah, when I'm watching them commentate live, it's very humbling as I'm understanding the move that they were talking about as they're saying 4 moves ahead of now.
Yeah.
As they're talking as the play's already gone by.
It's very impressive. It's like fighting
I'm very
games.
impressed by how quickly everyone who's a professional chess player recognizes things on the board that just look so like I remember this is actually pretty funny, so a little spoiler for anyone who doesn't want to know the current chess pog record, but
go make a taco come back.
XQC just played and then he lost in 6 moves. So on move 3 by Black Pieces, which by the way, Black Pieces has the disadvantage. It's you know this obviously, right? So he was playing black, and then I looked it over at the stream, and both Alexandra Botez and Hikaru reacted at the same time. They just like got stunned, and I was like, "What? What are you stunned about?" And that's when I had to pause, and I was like, "Okay, hold on, these guys are." And about like 30 minutes later, I paused the stream, and I was like, "Okay, that's." Embarrassing for him. He didn't see that.
He blundered. He blundered
that god.
Is that gonna be a new Twitch emoji? Whatever they call them. Blundered.
He just blundered that piece. That idiot.
It's just a Blender logo with a chess piece in the middle.
So that's all I ever have to say about chess. I'm very excited for it.
I got one more thing to say about chess.
Okay, what's that?
Mortal Kombat chess. You laugh. This is a real thing. Mortal Kombat Deception.
Wait, really?
Yes. Mortal Kombat Deception, the game that came after Deadly Alliance, the second Mortal Kombat game for PS2, third if you count Shaolin Monks, had a mode called Chess Combat, where you would assign different characters to different piece positions, and they would be able to move those different amounts, but they also had certain powers, and there was also power-ups on the chessboard, and every time 2 characters meet, they would engage in Mortal Kombat, and you would play a round of Mortal Kombat, and the pawns would have less health, and the queen would have the most health. It was very interesting.
It was like a chess metagame on top of the Mortal Kombat fighter.
Yeah, but like you have, it was a full chess pieces, right? This was chess 2.0. This is kind of it. Like you would have stuff like you could put traps, right? And you would do that before the game, and then if the player landed in that, they would be stuck for like 2 turns.
I think I remember this. I think I remember like watching Sub-Zero put like an ice trap on the board or something.
Yes, exactly. There was that. You had different powers depending on different characters that you had. Like if your bishop was Sub-Zero, he could do ice traps. I was pretty sure, or something like that. The bishops were like mage users, but they had
just
less
had a
health than
great
knights.
idea.
And
I want to see the world's top chess players play Mortal Kombat chess,
yeah,
and they have to play the fighting game as well. And they have
That
like
would
a
be really
tournament
good.
with $1 million in the
that would
line.
be
So
really
everyone
good.
tries really hard.
Oh, I wish we were famous so we could make this happen.
Oh, I know. Maybe they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. It's a good idea.
It's
It's out
man,
there. Someone will.
there was a layer of like prep to this game where it's interesting because you could think about it as a fighting game, like you're playing your mains, right? Do you want your main to be your queen so you have the most health and then you wreck shop, or do you want your main to be your pawns so you have more of them but you always start at a deficit? Think about that.
The depth.
Mortal Kombat Deception
right?
is
Mortal
not
Kombat
the
Plus.
best Mortal Kombat game to play though as a fighting system. They got there eventually, but
Eventually.
remember these were fighting games that you couldn't patch. Right?
So yeah, that's all for my chess. Did you have? You had one more thing.
Yeah,
right?
let's do a quick little send off. Because Thursday is the PlayStation 5 reveal.
Oh, that's right.
And we probably want to hit a few things with PlayStation 5. Now, so this is the big reveal that they say they're going to have. What is that going to entail? I think they show at least the box. I think they show games. Look, they have to show the box. They have to show the box. Like, if they're not going to show the box now, when are they going to show the box? What's in the box?
Hopefully, a system with a lot of good games.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They did a great job with the PS4.
Yeah,
they
did a really good job.
So unfortunately, I missed out in this generation's consoles in terms of I didn't own one. But looking back at it, there are too many titles on the PS4. And a lot of exclusive titles on the PS4 that I really, really, really want to play. The list goes on. Like, there's obviously God of War,
Spider-Man, Last of Us,
Spider-Man, Last of Us. We talked about the Last of Us 2.
Yeah, in our episode 0, which we'll put up in 3 years for our Patreon subscribers.
OnlyFans when we're desperate and need some money. Hey, you want to see some dirty stuff? Here's our session 0
of Beyond the Pixel. Bloopers that you will never have seen before. Watch Luis stutter as he announces the podcast for the first time.
All right.
So, has there
5.
been any rumors as to what games might be coming out as the launch titles?
No? Nothing that like leaked, but I have my suspicions. Spider-Man 2 is the one that I think they're gonna show.
Okay.
For multiple reasons.
That would make a bit of sense. Do you think it's a little soon? How long ago was the last game?
Last game was 2017, end of 2017.
Okay,
it came out September 2017. God of War was 2018. I think you launch with Spider-Man for 2 reasons, and I think you show it for 2 reasons. It's been 3 years, right, since that game. I think that's a pretty typical dev cycle if you're building upon an existing IP on an existing engine. They also used that game to show off the tech of the SSD. And I think something super simple you can do with that is like, now that the SSD is the new hard drive that's in the PlayStation 5, it is reportedly faster than anyone has ever predicted, even. Like, it's stupid fast. Something easy you could do with that is have an open world game, and then you say, Spider-Man is now swinging 4 times as fast as he was on PlayStation 4 because we can load the map that much faster. Easy sell. Easy sell.
So, like, are you saying that he literally moves 4 times as fast?
He literally moves 4 times as fast because they can load it.
Zipping.
He is just zipping that fast.
I think that does make a lot of sense. Spider-Man, first off, it's a great hype game. Who doesn't like Spider-Man?
It is. Did you know that it is literally the fastest selling PlayStation game of all time?
What do you mean? What, like, fastest as in
fastest selling? Like, in terms of like from, I'm not sure what the marking point is, but it has moved more units faster than any other PlayStation game. It is not the highest selling. Highest selling. You know what?
What's the highest selling? You should look it up.
So
I will just say that it surprises me, but that's mainly because the PS4 has so many huge titles that it's contending with. But
Yeah.
It does make sense that Spider-Man would be up there. It does surprise me a bit that it's the fastest
What do you think is the highest selling?
in terms of games in general, or the PS4
Bulk,
era.
bulk for PS4.
PS4, I would have thought it was The Last of Us.
The Last of Us wasn't on
What is it?
PS4. Last
Oh,
of Us
sorry,
was on
sorry.
PS3.
Oh, then, well, I definitely don't know, but I would have thought it would have been God of War then.
No. Fastest selling,
So,
highest selling game of all time on PlayStation 4 is Uncharted 4.
okay.
Of
that does make sense.
of first party titles from that. Highest selling is
Right,
Grand Theft Auto 5, of course. But of the PlayStation titles, it's Uncharted 4 highest selling at 16 million. Number 2, what do you think?
Are you going to say Spider-Man?
I'm going to say Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the number 2 highest selling game with 13.2 million. 3 million less than Uncharted 4, but still a lot.
For a first title, that's quite impressive.
For Insomniac,
For a
it's really good.
non-sequel, that's very, very, very impressive. They
God
had
of
a
War is
solid
number
game,
3.
though.
God of War is number 3 with
Okay, that
10
makes sense.
million.
Yeah,
3 million
that's a
less
lot than I
again.
thought. That's a lot less than I thought.
It's an M-rated game.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's an M-rated game. Spider-Man's a T-rated game. You're going to reach more audiences that way. More parents are going to be buying it.
Do you think God of War will be coming out as well?
No.
No.
No. I think God of War
Yes,
comes
soon?
end of 2021 or beginning of 2022.
Okay.
That
Middle of
that would be
the
my
the
prediction.
console life cycle.
Sorry?
Middle of the console life cycle.
No, not
It will
middle.
be a launch title.
Not middle. Like definitely definitely first or second year of the console.
Right.
I think it probably launches around a time frame that Horizon 2 would launch. Would be my guess.
Ooh. Oh, there's so much. Yeah, I forgot about Horizon too on the PlayStation.
It's been a
4.
while. That game is 5 years old now, I think.
So
Horizon Zero
what else do you
Dawn.
think is gonna come out?
Horizon Zero Dawn, 4th best-selling PlayStation game of all time, behind God of
Also
War.
on my list of games to play.
Yeah. So
Also really high on the list.
what I think is they're gonna announce is I think they use Spider-Man to show it off. Maybe that's what they close with. I think
Right.
they show off a lot of third-party games. Maybe we see Assassin's Creed Valhalla show up on it. There's
What
gonna be a
did you
lot of
think
talk
of
about the
the-
SSD.
Right.
They're gonna
well,
be-
speaking of the SSD,
Yo,
what did you think of that tech demo though? In terms of when we're talking about tech for the PS4 or PS5,
which tech demo?
the Unreal tech demo that's gonna be on the PS5, Unreal 4.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
we
Unreal-
talked
it's
about it a
Unreal-
bit,
it's Unreal-
obviously,
it's
but I
Unreal-
wanted.
Sorry?
We talked about it a bit already.
Unreal Engine 5 is also
Five,
going to
sorry, not
be
four.
is also going to be on Xbox. So, it's less relevant to the whole PlayStation 5 talk. That was a weird presentation.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to say that it was only gonna be
Yeah.
on the PlayStation. Sorry, but
Yeah.
it's featured.
But-
Yeah.
but-
It was a weird presentation. It wasn't particularly impressive to me.
I thought the real-time
what about
lighting
you?
stuff was really cool. Also the they updated Niagara to do like what looked like almost void simulations for the how the bats moved. Like they were aware of each other and their own positions, and they were able to animate dynamically based on that.
Oh.
I think it's called void simulation. It's an old thing that they used for like even like massive for like crowd simulations.
Okay.
I'm pretty
Like
sure
a-
I'm using the
kind
right
of like-
terminology. I'm not sure.
It's like realistic AI movements.
Or more, it's more like spatial awareness between different sorts of agents, right? The agents are aware of each other and they move in a way that like they're not overlapping, and you're not animating each one of them individually, and they still look
Right.
like a good clump. So they showed that
Right.
on the bats. They also did similar stuff, like they know where lighting is hitting, and they animated the cockroaches moving out of the way, like cool stuff, like stuff that like Uncharted and Last of Us did. But now having that baked into Unreal 5 obviously makes it a lot more accessible. The weird part for me is when they said artists can import high
Right.
poly assets directly into Unreal Engine 5, and I'm like, where
Would you want to?
yeah, like also where are you storing that? Because like a high poly asset takes up a lot of storage space. And we're already complaining about games being too big. There's games that are already separating out 4K packs to just put 4K textures in them. Why bloat your game with 30 million triangle statues when like one that's like a tenth of that would look just as good?
Yeah, it's
cool
kind
that
of
it works. Don't get me wrong. That is amazing that it works, because that's literally 75% of my job is to make sure that like memory doesn't crash any game that I'm working on, right? And it's cool that that's not a worry going forward, but my worry now is going to be like how like you can't give artists free reign like that. Sorry, Ken.
Well, I'd be the first to agree with you that artists definitely need to be a little in check when developing a game. But I agree, like saying that you can import high poly assets is a bit like having a non-toxic label on a bag of chips. Like you probably expect it to not, like, it's great that it does it, but it doesn't really come into play.
Yeah.
Also, especially when I think about what's more efficient in terms of the memory space and usages, to use textures and neural maps over actually having a ton of polygons. Like the problem of not wanting to have a lot of polygons has already been solved in the usage of neural maps and other advanced maps that's been developed in the last years, like developed over the last generations of consoles. So it did seem a bit, I wonder if it's a bit of marketing boast to try to upsell the usage of the engine.
It is very impressive. Like you tell someone, if you tell someone like, remember like seeing CG movies, you're gonna be able to put those exact assets in games. No. That's impressive. That is very impressive. I thought that was really cool. I don't understand how they did it. I was very impressed.
Well, my
is
question
it gonna
for
be
those
practical?
Trailers, exactly. Is it practical? Can you have all this beauty and advanced technology running while you have an actual game in the background? While you have to compute all these and store all these other factors that go into building a fully fledged AAA game and still keep this level of fidelity? I think that's always been the trick.
Where does your money go, right? Where in your triangle? Always like the development triangle. Where are you allocating those resources? You're making it look, play, or what's going on?
That's one of the things that it's like so many people who are on the outside of the gaming industry misunderstand when you're building games, is that every action to explore an idea, to check out a feature or a function, costs such a significant amount of man hours and essentially thus resources for the company, that you have to be really efficient with your usage in terms of what you explore and what you put your time and effort into.
And to jump off of that, I think a lot of the features that they announced in Unreal Engine 5 do help with that, right? Now, if you're having dynamic lighting, right? If you do dynamic lighting and you're no longer having to manually place like cube maps everywhere, right? If it's just cheap to make everything dynamic, you're saving a lot of time there. I believe, as someone who's not a lighter.
Well, I think that's that's just not as sexy, probably. This is why I feel like this is a more of a marketing video, because they picked things that were very attractive to people who wouldn't necessarily be working in the business. Whereas people like you or I who would have to work on the dev side, those are the things that you actually really appreciate when you are working with a level editor like Unreal or a game engine like Unreal. Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. I should say. I really like working with Unreal. I've been working with Unreal for the past 6 years. That's the only engine I've used professionally. I've used Unity for fun, but Unreal's been pretty good to me.
Unity professionally, and there are some nice things about Unreal for sure. There's some very nice things about Unreal.
I hear like importing art assets in Unreal is a lot better, right? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they're trying to reach a lot more parity now in terms of the two engines. Unreal pushing to be a bit more flexible in the mobile end, and then Unity trying to flex its legs on the AAA end. So that's been kind of interesting in the war for game engines that's been happening.
The war of the engines. The last pixel will be fought in blood.
It's funny how like the industry shifted from making your own engines, and then everyone realizing how expensive and in-depth and time consuming to make an engine is, let alone make a game on top of that.
Yep.
And then the shift from that to the proprietary license engine.
Yep.
Kind of fascinating.
Yup.
Yup. Yup.
All right. So
All right.
PlayStation 5.
I think that's it for us, right? Let's go PlayStation 5. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Do the announced price.
Are you excited?
I'm excited for
the price is gonna
both
be a big
consoles,
deal.
right? I'm excited for Xbox. I think what they're doing with smart delivery and the way the Game Pass works is a lot community friendly. I think they have a lot going for them in that way. And with PlayStation 5, I wish I could be excited for it, but I don't know what it is yet. I don't know yet. I don't know what sets it apart from Series X.
Ever since PlayStation 3, this is just me personally, but I've kind of stopped getting hyped for any console. Aside from Nintendo, who really tries to make a big Switch every once in a while. Sorry.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Look
at this guy.
Most of the generation or consoles have been defined for me by the games that have come out. And we never really know until at least midway whether this console generation is strong or not. I wasn't sure who was winning the last generation until midway. And if you look back at it, it's all going to be about the games. There's only been a few like the Wii or the Switch or the DS. Those are the only ones that I can think of that have really shaken up the playing field in terms of consoles.
I think this time
everything else.
I think this time it has the biggest potential for a change because of the solid state drives. Because
it is a big deal.
Because here's something that you don't have on PC, which is you have a guarantee that players are going to be streaming things at a high capacity, right? At a high velocity. So you can make your open worlds bigger, you can make your movement speeds faster. You can be making games that you cannot have played on like do you ship a PC version of a game like this with an SSD requirement? Do you say you need a hard drive that's as fast as this in order to run this?
Right. I will play devil's advocate and say the consoles have been notorious for their need to optimize regardless of what generation we've been in. And I wonder, like when you're looking at like Valorant, for example, people are playing at 144 FPS, 120 FPS, 240 FPS. And those are the games that have the need for those high reaction times. Now, obviously, an SSD would allow that in like a console game, but would other limitations?
No, I don't think the SSD will influence like the actual performance of the game. I think it influences the content, right?
Oh, I see
the SSD.
Like it's easier to load world environment.
Like it's why I said like Spider-Man is going to be swinging 4 times as fast. The reason why he can't swing that fast in PS4 is because they're loading that data from the hard drive.
Right.
And players have hard drives currently, right? And if you're playing a game on PC, if Spider-Man came out on PC, Spider-Man 2 came out on PC, it's not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. I don't know. They're putting Horizon and like it's rumored that Bloodborne and Horizon are going to be on PC alongside with Death Stranding. So like who knows? The world's crazy now. But say if they made a PC version for Spider-Man and like they did build Spider-Man 2 on PS5 hypothetically that he can swing a certain speed and it's counting on that fast load from this blistering fast SSD. You literally cannot play that game on a PC with a hard drive at that point.
Right. I see what you mean.
Normally you wouldn't even try and attempt this, right? You wouldn't even try to attempt this.
The hardware. Yeah.
But it's locked down. This is something that CEO of PlayStation said when they said like, do you plan to make PlayStation 5 games run on PS4, like Xbox is, like Halo Infinite is going to be on all the platforms. And he said, no, we want to make experiences that you cannot play anywhere else. And I think that's what leads into it. It's like if you have this closed off platform, you can guarantee the streaming of this speed. A lot of my work that I've done on open world games have been making sure that when you are in an open world section and you are moving at a certain speed, you don't hit a loading screen.
Yeah.
On that. Like you look at Star Wars Fallen Order, that's something they ran into a problem there, because if you're
That's why
playing
they
it on
had the slowdown sections, right?
yeah, when you play it on a base console like a base PS4 or I guess even the PlayStation 4 Pro even, you get these scenes where you're traversing the world and then it stops and there's a little loading icon in the corner.
Oh no. Yeah, that's kind of rough.
When I work on an open world game like that, it's my job to make sure that never happens. And that's a lot of time and effort that goes into making sure it's that way. And that's why like certain speeds in Grand Theft Auto are what they are, right? Like you'll never have like a super fast a car that can go supersonic, right? Because of the loading time.
Limit.
And even if you're like in a jet in Grand Theft Auto 5, you see very low res stuff from far away and it's just popping in constantly, right?
Right.
And that's
They
from
should
the
have
load
added that in the
times.
Matrix. They should have added that in the Matrix.
Yeah.
When Keanu's flying.
Keanu's like
around
going too fast. He's like, wait, the Matrix needs to load this
It's the
area.
loadings. What's going on here?
He doesn't dodge bullets. He
very
just
true.
moves faster than they can load the bullets.
Yeah. That would be better. That's actually interesting because you would look at that's one thing that you see in games that are console only is that they have the highest level of efficiency in terms of being able to hack very, very amazing looking things into the actual specs of a console now compared to, especially later in its lifetime, like right now,
Like Last
compared
of
to a
Us.
PC are huge. But you wouldn't know it necessarily if you just looked at the stills from the games. They've done an amazing job. Like Nintendo, for example, has notoriously always done an incredible job, even though they have almost always had the most underpowered hardware in the game.
They also have large
They're-
development cycles.
Huge development cycles, huge like ingenious people who are able to debug and trying to figure that word to make it less laggy. What do you call it? Optimize a game.
Optimize.
They're
Oh, I lost you. Oh no.
Is it okay?
You're cutting out. I think we're having a hiccup. All right. Okay. I guess we gotta wait for a little bit for you to catch up. All right. I'm not sure if it's your end or my end. Nope. There you go. Are you back?
Could be. I think I am.
Okay.
How
Are
do
you
I
all right?
sound?
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm stuck
Did I move too
a
fast?
field.
Sorry. My SSD
yeah,
couldn't process you. All right, so go ahead about Nintendo development cycles and what else?
Oh yeah, I've always been very impressed by what they've done to be able to optimize games because their games have always looked on par with the other consoles, even though their like hardware specs have been quite low in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm
Alright.
excited for the PS5.
Yeah. How much would you pay for one?
This is why I don't buy consoles because I typically am not willing to pay their current new price.
Mm-hmm.
Like even as we talk right now, as the PS5 is coming out, in my head I'm thinking this is a great time to get a PS4.
Not
So that I
after
can
it comes
play all
out,
those-
when everyone's trying to get rid of them.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Right after it comes out.
You want to buy
like,
my
that would be a great
PS4?
time. Yeah, probably.
It depends
wanna
if it's
package
backwards
those
compatible.
games?
Here's the thing, though. What is it going to be backwards compatible? Like they say it's going to be backwards compatible
it
with the
was.
majority of PlayStation 4 titles, but the majority part is where I worry.
Hmm. Well, listen. Either way, you're not going to need your PS4 though. You can keep all your games. Just give me the.
I'm not gonna need my Xbox One X, because when I buy my Series X, it's gonna be completely backwards compatible. Look how easy that decision is for me.
Well, I would also take that as well. 'Cause like I said, I missed this season's this generation's consoles.
There's a
altogether.
lot of good stuff on Xbox.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Sunset
There's a lot of good
Overdrive,
stuff.
the Halo Master Chief
There's a lot of good
Collection, Halo
I know.
5.
I know.
Man, you
Well,
would love playing multiplayer in Halo 5.
Isn't that also on PC? Or
Not
am I
Halo
thinking
5.
of the anniversary release? Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
anniversary releases are on there.
Okay.
I don't think they have plans to put 5 on PC yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I was just thinking of the anniversary release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a lot of games to catch up on. I would definitely hit you up for your old consoles when the next
For sure.
next ones come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna probably, if they were pretty aggressive with the pricing, I would say 450 USD.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say they want to sell.
That would be good. That would be doable at least. I thought it would be something higher, like
That'd be
650
650 Canadian.
Oh, exactly. Sorry, I
Yeah.
forgot that we were.
Yeah.
You were talking in rich people prices.
Yeah.
American prices.
I think like 400. I think 500 USD, 450 to 500 USD would probably be my solid prediction. I think they want to sell it for 550 to 600. I don't think they can afford to.
Yeah.
I think
Or
they
they
need.
took a loss early for the early.
They took a
season.
loss on PS4 as well. It's not unknown territory. They took a loss on the PS3 and they were selling it for $700.
I know that was the worst
That was bad.
generation.
That was
Yeah,
not
didn't
good.
like that
There was a lot of good.
And I had that generation.
There was a lot of good games that came out of the PS3, but like I only got one when they did the slim one that was like 350. So much cheaper.
Yeah. I think that's when the price range moved to something that's much more realistic.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know if they even announced price on Thursday. Because I
We'll
think
see.
that
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
Our next
Thursday-
episode, we'll go over it. Right?
You're just gonna be
Post-reaction.
here and be like, oh my god, they did it. It's 450. What the hell? guess I'm
Can you
gonna
imagine
buy.
if they decided to drop it for 300?
Oh my god. Yeah.
That would never happen.
Do
That
you
would never
remember how like significant that was? I remember when I was watching the E3 presentation for like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and like Xbox One had gone first, and they announced $499 for the console, and then Sony came out afterwards, and they said the console is $400 cheaper, and then my friend like I got a text message on my phone. And it was just my friend that was also watching the press conference, and he said, "Sony won."
happen.
That's all he said.
It's over. Just said GG. GG. See you later.
And I wonder if it's almost going to be the other way around, because Xbox looks so strong right now. It is such an appealing product to buy, because you bring everything over. It's the same ecosystems. You have Game Pass. You know every single launch title that you want to play on Xbox is going to be on Game Pass, and I have Game Pass for like the next 3 years. So
Yeah, they have a.
It's
they
such
have
an
quite
easy
a strong
sell.
hand to start off with.
yeah,
But like I said, it's gonna be dependent on the games for me, at least. Like I can't say anything without seeing the titles and how they do.
And,
Right.
and here's the thing is, like, I think for a while the only thing that's gonna hit PlayStation 5 hard is gonna be Spider-Man, and I think you're waiting like a good year until God of War.
Yeah,
What you're gonna get is you're gonna get updated versions of Last of Us,
previous games.
Cyberpunk 2077, which is also gonna be on Xbox, so not really a factor, and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima, which in the gameplay they showed had a lot of loading issues. Like I was seeing textures stream in like all the time. I'm like, they're showing this off. This must be like this must be happening pretty frequently.
I gotta admit that demo looked a little choppy, but
A
it did
little
look
bit.
like the content was fresh that I wanted to see though. So, or at least like cool that I wanted to see.
Yeah, I'm excited for both those games. I will play both those games when they come out. But I can't help but wonder how much better the PS5 version of that game will look. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would personally wait.
Yeah, I'm just want to know how much money I'm gonna lose. All right, I think that's it though.
All right, perfect. My headset battery is about to die anyways.
Excellent.
So that's like the perfect timing.
Excellent. We're all about perfect timing here at Beyond the Pixel.
Awesome. So we're gonna do the same time next week.
Next week,
Everyone?
Tuesday,
Yep.
At-
So if you're here,
and I'm just trying to load up our little outro. All
this is the
right.
first time we get to use it. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
So Ken, thank you for being here.
So,
Thank you everyone for watching.
you.
And
yeah,
take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and for everything else, you know where to find us. We're gonna be right here, waiting for the drop. Beyond the Pixel.
Almost. All right. See you, everyone. Thanks for coming by.